Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are having the most excellent weekend. I hope that it is not as hot where you are as it is here. It is due to hit 43 degrees Celsius here in the mountains today. So we've made sure that the chickens have lots and lots of water. The chicks and Grace are doing well. They've got some shade and some water. And the rest of the flock have water and shade, and we're just going to keep monitoring them all day to make sure that they are safe. If you can hear a weird clicking noise, that is the electric fence. We picked it up the other day because we were having some issues with coyotes, amongst other things, coming along and helping themselves to our chickens. So we're doing our best to make sure that that doesn't happen. I've also just watered the garden, so we've got lots of nice damp ground, which is a bit weird to walk in with my sandals on, but it does mean that everything is staying nice and lush, like our rocket, or arugula as they call it in America, lettuce. We've got some beetroot, we've got some beans, we've got loads of potatoes coming up. I'm sure there'll be Sunday dinner later on today. But as usual, I'm not really here to talk about my gardening. I'm here to talk about spare wheels, spare tyres. At one point in history, when you bought a car, you were given a spare wheel that lived in your car, and then should you happen to have a puncture when you're out and about, you can just jack the car up using the jack that was supplied with your car, switch the wheel over and carry on your merry way. If it was a full-size wheel, then you could drive at normal speeds and that was fine. If it was a space-saving wheel, which is what the Honda Insight that we have here came with, a space-saver wheel, and you were able to use that to get to a tyre shop. There was a restriction on your top speed, and that restriction, I think, was about 50 kilometers an hour, or 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers an hour. Let me say that again, because I just got that completely wrong. 80 kilometers an hour, which is 50 miles per hour. Haven't had my coffee yet because it's very early in the morning. And that allowed you, should you get a puncture, to get your tyre checked over, to get the wheel fixed and get on your merry way. And then car companies started using these fix-a-flat cans, or the gum, the goo that goes in tyres to fix temporarily a puncture and allow you to get to your destination. Now, there are some downsides to those, and I spoke to everybody on the Transport Evolved team and they all feel the same way. They hate them. They can do damage both to the tyre and to the wheel that you use them with, and while they can get you out of an emergency in a sticky situation, they're not ideal for long-term lifespan of either wheel or tyre. And you can now get cars with self-sealing tyres. So the Chevrolet Bolt came as standard from the factory with self-sealing tyres. And those self-sealing tyres, they do help prevent some punctures. But again, they're not as effective as having a spare wheel. But in the age of hybrid vehicles, in the age of electric vehicles, and in the age of lightweight, fuel-efficient cars, spare wheels went away. And my question to you today is it time for spare wheels to make a comeback? You know, we are now starting to see electric cars coming to market that are much heavier and have got much larger battery packs and can travel much further distances, much longer distances even, on a charge than EVs of 10 years ago. When your EV had a range of 100 miles, adding the weight of a spare tyre would impact that range significantly. When your car is capable of 200 or 300 miles a charge, carrying a spare wheel doesn't make a massive difference over those 200 or 300 miles. And I do wonder if it is now time for car companies to start putting spare wheels back in electric vehicles and in cars in general. Because even internal combustion engine cars today do not come with spare wheels. Very often they come with a fix-a-flat kit, or if you're feeling If you're feeling particularly flush, sometimes you can pay to have a spare wheel added. I'll give you an extreme example. Michael, our cameraman, who helped us with the Volkswagen ID4 video, his daily driver is a Fiat 500 and he doesn't have any children. It's just him and his partner. And so the rear seats are constantly folded down in his car, which means he can get more camera gear in. But it also means he keeps a full-size spare wheel in his Fiat because he just got fed up of the car getting punctures, and he got fed up of not being able to just whack a wheel on and get somewhere safely. And the Ford F-150, when it comes out, the Ford F-150 Lightning will have a full-size wheel as a spare, because on pickup trucks, full-size spare wheels are still the norm. The same for a lot of full-size SUVs. But we've seen improvements in wheel technology, we've seen improvements in tyre technology, and now we're starting to see improvements in other parts of vehicle design. That means that carrying a spare wheel shouldn't be the hassle it was 10 years ago. And deleting spare wheels for the increasing fuel economy to increase the fuel economy by a few miles per gallon, or to increase the range by 10 miles or so, doesn't seem to be that big a bonus today. And I'm curious to know what you think. Do you use those fixer flats? Would you pay extra to have a spare wheel on your EV? Do you think that every car should come with an EV? I know in some markets, for example, Australia, I believe it is mandatory for all cars to come with a full-size spare wheel. But in other countries, like here in the US and parts of Europe, it's not mandatory. And I'm starting to wonder if, in the interests of sustainability and giving people the ability to carry on their way when they're on a trip, especially in the age of COVID, isn't it time to bring spare wheels back? Being able to fit a spare wheel is a completely different matter. I've actually helped a guy he must have been wearing a $5,000 suit at the side of the road once, who had a flat in his very, very high-end BMW. Didn't know how to take the tyre off, didn't know how to take the wheel off and replace it, so I actually did it for him. This would have been, 20 years ago, when I was back in the UK, and I was in Lincolnshire, and he was in the middle of nowhere, and I was on my bike cycling somewhere because I didn't have a car at the time, and I still knew how to change a wheel. That's a completely different conversation. And I'm someone who thinks that everybody should understand how to change a wheel. Everyone should understand how to do the basic check for fluids in their vehicle, because even EVs have fluids, but that is not what we're going to be talking about today. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. That's it for today. Please do hit subscribe and the bell if you haven't yet, as it does stop YouTube from doing weird things with our content. And make sure that you are subscribed to this channel, which is Transport Evolved Take 2, Transport Evolved Shorts, and our main Transport Evolved channel. There are links below. Thanks on behalf of the entire TE crew go out to the folks on my right for being our $15 to $49 a month Patreon supporters. Special thanks to our $50 a month patrons. That's Andrew Martin, Guido Drahoa, Brophy Wolf, Anonymous Freak, Raging Fellows, Carl Hodgson, Gordon C, Paul Conway, Laura Sanborn, Anthony Coates, Denny Hyde, Sean Ueda, and Tazla in the Gong. I am starting to swelter under this heat, and our deepest gratitude to our $100 a month Patreon supporters: John Lyons, Marcel Ward, Reggie Watts, JP Fagerback, Will Graylin, and Ian. If you'd like to join the ranks of wonderful supporters, there are going to be links below to Patreon, Bitcoin, and Ko-fi. You can chat with TE and TE fans on the Discord server. We'll link to that below. And don't forget to head to our Redbubble store for our usual swag, like the t-shirt I am wearing right now. It's all available. We cannot use the name of this car because that's copyrighted, but we are allowed to sell this design because this is a unique design. So I think this is called Luxury Electric Car, but you'll know what it is when you see it. Thanks for joining me, and as always, keep evolving.